Welcome back, folks, to the making of Gods and Nemesis, the video game. You'll notice that I'm doing quite a few overviews, and the reason why I'm doing that is so that these videos are going to dramatically change here pretty soon. I'm going to go over maybe 5 to 7 different major categories so you know what systems I use and how it kind of looks when I go into those systems to make the changes needed in order to create the rest of this game. The reason why I'm doing that is so that you're not confused with what I'm doing. So when these videos change to me just purely working, it's probably going to be more so commentary with a mixture of me talking here and there. But there's going to be times where I'm going to have to concentrate pretty heavily on what I'm doing. But anyway, this video I'm wanting to go over some animation. I use Blender, and I wanted to show you that the creature first of all is this one. This is from the board game. Hold on a second. I'm also upgrading to Windows 10 on this other computer. There we go. I'm going to do its thing. I'm kind of curious to see how that functions, but this is called a Banshus, and this creature has is an important creature for Gods and Nemesis, because it's kind of like the cattle of Zeus or Euthanus Dream. They're used for the muscle work, moving large objects, etc. They're pretty peaceful, even though they look mean in certain ways, like a dinosaur in a way. But I attempted to recreate that. I modified this. I don't need to save that to the original. I have a lot of creatures loading in the background from the old board game from years ago. Some look alright, some of them look pretty silly, so just bear with it. It's kind of more of something for me to look at while I'm doing what I'm doing. This is the, hold on, let me, recreation here. And it doesn't look all that great because I haven't put in the shaders, and I'm going to load it into the engine so you can see this creature with the shaders. So let me take off the texturing, and so you can see it in Blender without the textures. Let me get a definition of what it looks like. You notice that its horn actually is a tooth here, and the top of its snout it has a hole, so that horn goes through, and something similar happens underneath here. It has these plates of armor here. This video I'm just going to go over some of the concepts of what's needed for animation. And in the next video I'll show you how to animate a four-legged creature. Maybe I'll give you a chance to see some of how crazy what happens when you don't know how to animate a four-legged creature and how it's supposed to walk. It's pretty funny when you see my first attempt. But see if I have time to do that. I'm trying to keep these videos within the 15-minute range. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I know all of us have short attention spans. If you guys want me to record longer videos, let me know. I'm going off of mainly what I like. I usually have YouTube in the background with a series of walkthroughs of people playing certain video games like Skyrim as ambient noise while I'm working on all these creatures and things. One thing I like the videos to be about 15 minutes long. It kind of gives me an awareness of time, but it might be different for these types of videos, so I don't know. And certainly when I get into the making of it, it's probably going to be a lot longer, the videos anyway, so it's probably, these overviews are going to be within 15 minutes. So I would imagine this is an evolving process, so it takes time for me to figure out what needs to be done and what people want and what they don't like. In Blender, I think I have this, yeah, there we go. Now you can see what keys I'm pressing. That will make it a little bit easier. It was in object mode. Now I'll go into edit mode, and you'll notice these seams. Seams are important. So watch when I hover over an area that is seamed out, I can select that area. See? That's important for also naming vertex groups so that the bones can move them for the animation. The system has to know what bones are connected to what parts of the creature to make them move. For instance, let me unhide Control H, or no, it's Alt H. There we go. That's the skeletal system of the creature. It's an algorithm, and it's made into a visible bone-like structure. It makes it a little bit easier to work with and understand. But these are actually just points, really. They're made to look like bones in a way for us to have an easier way of understanding what it is. Now when I move this, oops, this one, notice how the whole section will move, and this one is called jaw lower. So let's go over here. I'll show you why that's important. So each one of these bones are named, and this is something that's important for when you need to animate things for Torque and I believe Unity as well. I don't see why there would be really any difference there. I'm going to go into, sorry, you have to actually select the object this time. Go into edit mode, press A, clear everything out, and then let's go to here. Okay, now that was a lower jaw lower. Now here's the vertex groups, and that's all these vertices, all these little squares here. Those would be faces. All the faces are grouped into groups, and so you can see what is assigned to the jaw lower, this bone right here. You can see my cursor. If I select, there you go. Those are all the little squares, the faces and vertices, the little points that makes up each square. That makes up that group called jaw lower, and the groups can be are named after the bones. So that's how you do that. And the same thing with the tail. Each tail section has its own vertices or faces assigned to it, however you want to look at it. Let's see, this is important for Torque. We have mount points. Mount to. I have a plan possibly of having players mount to the animals so that they can ride them. So here would be the mount point, and you would tell the system to mount at this point right here. And why this is a bone instead of just a, you could actually just make it one of these. Grab this out of the way. This is called mount 0. That's where I mount a weapon to the creature. The weapon itself is invisible, but it still calculates what needs to be done in order to do damage and stuff. I'll probably go over that in later videos. Alright, put that back. It could be just a point like this, but I decided to make this one a bone. So when a player mounts here, they're going to, and this creature is moving, its shoulders are going to go down a little bit as it's moving through, rocky pastures or whatever it's walking. You want the player to move along with the animal. In the case with this mount point here, that is not a bone, it's not connected to anything. And the reason why I have a weapon connected to that, so it's not pointing in weird ways depending on how it's moving. So when it targets a creature, it's not, that calculation does not interfere. But when I have a player riding on top of this Banshus, I want them to move along with the Banshus, otherwise it will look kind of weird if they weren't moving along with it. So you see some other things here. So the legs will move. That will become important here. Got various sections, tail. And, that brings up another point. There's a certain weighting that also has to be done. You'll notice the paint over here. I select the object itself, not the bones, and go into weight paint mode. And each one of these vertex groups have to be painted. Okay? And you go in here, this will add. Notice I can add here some paint, depending on the color, red being the most affected, blue being unaffected, it's cold, green is a little bit affected, and undo that. You can paint that, what vertices you want to have effect, and you can also paint how much effect these vertices have on each other. Let's see. Oh, that was subtract, so I can delete. It turns green, and a little bit lighter, and a little bit lighter until it turns blue. I'm not going to save this, obviously. I just wanted to demonstrate that weight paint is very important for this to work as well. Texturing. Bring this back to normal. When we go in edit mode, we're going to select all of it. Now notice that I sectioned off each certain parts. Look at this mess over here. These are all the vertex groups and where they correspond on the texture that I loaded in. So this texture, open image, I have all these textures here in a folder, and I bring them in and use them. So I made a special texture just for this creature. I haven't finalized it yet. It's not, I need some bone structure for the top here. If you remember the original picture, the armor was a little bit more pronounced. He had a little bit of armor on the back, and that's going to be painted into here. These are going to look a little bit better. I kind of just made this as a placer for where things pretty much go. This is the mouth section in this little area here. That's inside. And I think it's time to see this creature in the game world. Let's go ahead and load that up. And I have a function that I have created that loads this text file. So I can make all kinds of text files and load that %form equals whatever text file I want. And text files are located. I have them located in this area. Well, I'm sorry, that's not right. And the GUI section, the extinction charts, creature templates, it's under that folder. So I have all these creatures that can load in dynamically. They can be slightly different if I want, or they can be exactly the same. All the Banshus creatures are probably going to be pretty much the same. They're going to be random AI, and they're going to load in that way. And let's go ahead and take a look at them, and we'll end this session. I think I'm going to try for original pictures without any modifications to put in the background while things are loading. I kind of like that. Kind of gives it an authentic look, although they can be, the picture can be positioned a little bit. I kind of want this type of artwork, the actual original pictures that I had hand drawn with the charcoal and everything, to be the backgrounds. And I have a little sayings here and there. Some of them are relevant, some of them are not. Have a little fun with that. Alright, where are we? Character with pants on. There he is. Now watch when he moves, it's kind of funny. Yeah, that does not look right at all. His resting animation, his root animation is okay. Modified a little bit. Yeah, I don't know how to animate four-legged creatures yet, so I'm going to be studying and make the next video to help you guys out and maybe save you a little bit of time. So that's just silly. It's kind of funny in a way. This is crazy. A little weird looking. And he definitely needs some texture work. Yeah, looks like he's skating. But anyway. Not an evil creature, he's not attacking me. He randomly moves around. That's this type of AI. He's AI mode 2 or what did I say? Oh, AI mode 1, sorry. That's the random movement ones. AI 2 are the script-based ones where they have to have a script to know where to go. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Take care.